Hey guys, so I apologize if you hear any vroom, it's kind of be like notifications and everything probably coming in. But I wanted to come on here because, about a month ago or so, it doesn't even feel like that, I'm pretty sure to a lot of you, but about a month ago or so, I talked about the other AI services out there like Kling AI, Runaway, along with the likes of, Sudo, Right, and Luma. And all of them are pretty well, I guess you could say, pretty well, featured for what they are. Pretty well, pretty. Hold on, I'm getting tongue. Are pretty well popular, is what I'm trying to say, in what they deliver. And just like a lot of software out there, especially the AI kind, it has to upgrade and update once in a while. It has to add on features, as I've alluded to before, to try to improve what they, give to you, improve the presentation. Now, there are some advantages and some disadvantages when it comes to the differences between them. First of all, one difference, like let's say with the Runaway AI, the big difference there, especially when it comes to video, is the credits. Now, just like with, let's say, Luma and, Kling and Sudo, you do get monthly, a bunch of credits, all depending whether or not your payment, I should say, goes through or not, and whether or not you have to wait a couple of days before that happens. In my case, I'm going to have to wait. But the point I'm getting at is essentially, when you get down to it, credits is a major thing. And when it comes to some of these outlets, the difference between them is night and day. With Runaway, if you want to buy extra credits, you don't have to worry about different price ranges for, a certain amount of credits. Like with Kling, it's $5 for 330 credits, $10 for 660, 20 for 1320, so on and so forth, if you will. I think 50 for, I think it was a 750 or something like that. And then 75 for almost a little bit more, and then 200 something for a bunch, like almost unlimited supply. But with Runaway, you don't have to worry about that. That's the big difference. With Runaway, all you have to do is just, when you want to add credits, and this is an advantage they have, is just hit the plus sign, and all it does is add on an additional dollar. Because according to Kling, which is, again, a different service, and they offer it differently, Kling basically says to you, when you look up like the subscriptions and monthly subscriptions or yearly subscriptions you want to do, they will show you the cost of a credit. And to Kling, a credit is $1. That's right, for $1 a credit, basically. So what Runaway does here is they start off with 10. And I do apologize for that notification, as I mentioned earlier. Hold on. Sorry about that. That was just a notification from my job letting me know that my Coles app is installed. I've already installed it, but what are you going to do? Anyway, getting back on topic here. The one thing that Runaway does that's different from Kling, because Kling, like I said, does $5 for 330, $10 for 660, $20 for 1320. 50, I think, for 750 or something like that. Hold on, let me double check. Okay, like I was trying to say, basically the difference with Kling and Runaway is Kling, like I said, for extra credits offers like $5 for 330, $10 for 660, $20 for 1320, $50 for 3,500, $100 for 7,500, which is 7,500, and then $200 for basically 1,006,000, basically 16,000. That's the difference. That's the difference with them. And the reason I bring that up, basically, and I know I'm getting a little far in, about 5 minutes in, trying to explain this, so I do apologize. But the difference, though, as I was saying, is with Runaway, all you have to do is when you want to add extra credits is, just go to where you want to buy the credits. And all you have to do, as I mentioned before in previous AI videos, AI audio videos, if you will, all you have to do is press the plus sign and you just add $1 on. That's it. So initially with Runaway, they start off at like $10. But if you want like another set of credits, all you have to do is hit the plus and you add 1,000 more credits or 100 more credits, and all you pay is $11. You want 200 credits, all you pay is $1,200. $13, $14, 15. You get the idea. That's the difference between them, if you will. And that's kind of the advantage that Runaway, to an extent, has, if you will. They basically let you choose the price point of, how many credits you want, and they put you in the 1,000 range right away. They put you right in the 1,000 range right away, no questions asked. No questions asked. Now, despite having that kind of an advantage, it does have its disadvantages. For example, Kling and Luma allow you to regenerate or kind of do over or extend your AI project for as long as you want, or at least until they tell you, hey, we can't generate this, please try again. Because there will be times that you'll ask it to do something with a certain image, maybe if you use an image, and it will say can't do it because I guess maybe it's too complicated or it hasn't gotten to that point yet where they can do it, and they need to be updated or upgraded to a certain point to make that happen. But, again, they do have the advantage outside of that, both Kling and Luma, to where you can actually do as many as you want. You can extend it for as long as you want. Runaway only lets you do it for about up to 18 seconds, as far as I know. Even when you extend, I think, and extend, believe it or not, comes with one of the different, one of the other generation updates that they have, upgrades that they have. Because basically they have Gen 2, then they have Gen 3 Turbo, which is fast, and that's pretty good, but not so reliable. And they have Gen 3 Alpha, and I'll get into those in a moment. But outside of those, when you use Gen 2, or maybe even the other gens as well, Gen 3 Alpha or Gen 3 Turbo, they only give you up to about 18 to 20 seconds worth of extension. So you'll start off with 4 or 4 credits, basically 5 or 10 seconds, and they'll only give you up to a certain amount is what they'll do. That's what they'll do. If you start off with like 4 seconds, like on Gen 2 or even Gen 5, you start off at 5 seconds or 10, you only get up to 8, you only get up to a certain amount after that. So like if you're doing with 4, and then you do another 4, if you know what I mean, or something like that to an extent, I don't know what it is, but basically it will not let you go beyond 18 seconds. Yeah, you do the Gen 2 in Runaway, and you start off with 4, then 8, then 12, then 16 to maybe 18 seconds. Afterwards, it only lets you do it about 4, maybe 5 times at most, but mostly 4. It's every 4 seconds. And the same, I think, when you utilize, I should say, Gen 3 Alpha or Gen 3 Turbo. You can only do it up to about a certain amount of times, and then that's it. You have to start over. Or you have to do a new one to continue it with what you want to do. Now, when it comes to, like I said, the difference with it, Kling and Luma, is like I said, Kling and Luma allow you to do it, as much as you want. The only thing, though, with Kling is they did upgrade and add on the 1.5, which is basically the professional line. And what's interesting about that is professional when it comes to Kling, and Runaway doesn't have this as far as I know. Maybe you guys can correct me, but Runaway, as far as I know, does not have this yet. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they have it in Gen 3 Alpha or Gen 3 Turbo. But with Kling, they have the professional line. And as I believe I've alluded to before, as I've alluded to before, when you use professional, you're not utilizing 10 credits or 20 credits. No. Instead, what you're utilizing is 35 credits. Now, if you decide, I want professional, and everything, and I want a certain way, if you will, like you want to extend the time, because they do let you extend the time to a little longer. Because with Kling, you can do about 5 seconds, and then you could add on to it as much as you want. You know what I mean? So if you want to go to 10, then that's going to cost, and you want to use professional, then from 35, you will jump up another 35, and you will be spending 70 credits. But the difference with the professional mode is it does feel like it gives you exactly, or at least tries to give you exactly what you're asking for. Again, Runaway, they do something similar in a way. They will at times, depending on the situation, give you what you want. But the limitation is you can only do it a few times. With Kling, if you have enough credits and everything, you can do it as much as you like. You could do it as many, you could do it like 5-6 times, add to it, and you'd be okay. You'd be okay. Heck, you can take an image, as it is, and say what you want done to it in professional, and you can do the same. It's been proven. You can do the same in standard, but it seems in professional, you'll get more of what you're looking for. You'll get kind of like the same. You'll get kind of like the same result. Like this is one image. I'm not going to show it here on YouTube, but this is one image that Desi Arts did when she used to go under the name basically she used to go under the name of Jacquelador, Desi Arts. She did this one image for Easter based around her Metamorphosized Malleability storyverse. And what it is it's basically crystal covered completely in white, in sort of like a beige white goo, a yolk, like slimy like yolk substance. But that yolk substance is her fiance, the one with the powers, Briella. And not once, but twice was I able, I think it was both with Kling, I was able to get it to kind of give me what I was suggesting, because my thought when I first saw that image was, well, what if Briella used her powers, really tapped into her powers, and melted both her and Crystal down into a melted fused state? Wouldn't that be something? So not once, so for the first time I should say I did it, and I think it was with Kling, it actually worked, but they had it done differently. I think they had a kind of like they had Crystal kind of bend backwards a little bit, and she just started to flow down a little bit, and her head bent back. I have to go look it up again, but I think I have it somewhere. I have to look it up. It's on the site too. It's on the site, so I have to look that up too. But anyway, they had, that happened, and it actually worked. It actually does work and everything. And if you want to add like a few extra details in it, onto it, I should say, it will do it. Like, for example, if I'm saying, hey, have, after the melted, have a mouth, a lipstick smiling mouth or something like that form on the goo, and I do apologize for that vibration there, form on the goo, to make it symbolize, or to symbolize that they are now one, it will kind of give you what you're asking for, not entirely, but it will give you what you're kind of looking for. So I tried that with the professional version, and it kind of gave me what I'm wanting, but not really, because instead of giving me like the lipstick lips showing up, instead it's like a jelly-like substance that flows out. So when out of the melted state, and I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of weird. But again, the professional mode on Kling, will give you just a little bit, just a tiny bit more of what you're asking for than the standard version. Again, standard will give you what you're asking for. There's no doubt. But the only difference between the two is you spend a lot more credit-wise, because you want it done a certain way, or you want a certain setting to do it, the way you want. And of course, with professional as well and standard, when you add a little bit more time, you spend more credits, and And when you decide how many, like if you just want to do more than one generate image or video image, you want to do two, that adds on as well. So let's say you want to do like 2 credit, you want to do 2 images, you want to do a professional and all that, then you're going to be looking like at maybe 115 credits utilized, for just that one, for just those 2 images. That's kind of how it works. Because like when you decide you want to do a 10-second video, AI video generation, either originally or through an image, and you say, I want to use standard and I want to go 20 seconds, oh, not 20, but 10 seconds, I should say, it's going to cost you 20 credits instead of 10. Now, the difference in the spending between it and Kling is with Kling, basically what happens with Kling, I should say, what happens there is basically, hold on for a second, I'm just doing something. But what happens there with Kling, if you will, what happens with Kling basically is, just like, not Kling, but Runaway. I'm sorry, I got distracted there. But what happens with Runaway, similar to Kling, that's what I was trying to say, is the higher, you choose, like the higher quality you choose, the more it's going to cost you. Like with Gen 2, you don't have to worry too much. It's just like a free, you get to generate 4 seconds, you're fine. You want to extend, that's fine. The only limitation is you can only go up to about 16 to 18 seconds on the extensions. Just adding on. That's about 4 or 5 of them. But be that as it may, the other thing, like I said, that's similar, if not different, is the expense. Because let's say you want to do Generation 3 Turbo or Alpha. One big difference is you got to make sure your image is essentially 300, just like with Kling. It's got to be 300 by 300. So you got to either crop it, and they do give you a crop option, so that's one advantage I will give them over Kling. They give you a crop option to crop the image as best you can, though they got to work on it better to where you can have different options of how to crop it, if you know what I mean. So they give you the option to crop, the image, and on top of that, they do give you a first and last option as well. Like you have 2 images, although I think they're still working on that because, they haven't, I think perfected of how you're going to be able to, go to, like, okay, this is my first image, and then you click last, and then it's blank, and then you put another image there. I don't think they've worked on that just yet or perfected it. If they have, let me know. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, the similarity is, again, when you choose a certain quality, it's going to cost you. So, for example, if you choose Alpha, and let's say you want to go 10 seconds, if you will, that's going to cost you 100 credits. Yeah. But if you want to go 5 seconds, it'll cost you 50. Yeah. Big difference between that and Gen 2, because Gen 2 only charges you 25. Now, on top of that, let's go to Gen 3 Turbo. Gen 3 Turbo basically is sort of like Alpha, but it's kind of a blend between Alpha and Gen 2. Gen 3 Turbo will charge you basically, they will charge you basically 50 for 10 seconds and 25 for 5 seconds. That's it. They will do that. They will charge you 50 for 10 seconds, 25 for 5 seconds, and that's it. They retain that, but they also have that 50 portion. And sometimes they will give you what you're asking for, depending on how it's described, to them. And that's the other thing, too. That's the one common thing they all have that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. And that is letting them know through emphasization, in other words, putting what you want to see in the prompt, in the parentheses, in between the parentheses, or even copying and pasting what you're describing and putting it into parentheses so you can pretty much, make it known that this is what you're asking for. Sometimes, depending on that, it will give you kind of what you're asking for, just like Kling. But as I said before, Kling has still, even with its upgrades to 1.5, which is mostly professional, but still being at 1.0 as well, Kling still has that slight itty-bitty advantage over Runaway and Luma. Now, Luma, they're still who they are. They're still very preferable, just like Kling over everybody else. Kling and them, like I said, are kind of neck and neck, with, Kling being a little ahead, in what in what they present. Luma does give you what you ask for, and again, it all depends. Now, not again, but it all depends. What I'm trying to say, it all depends on the images too. It all depends on the images, because sometimes Kling, the one thing about AI, before I get into this, one thing about AI is sometimes, especially with these video ones, is they'll take what you're asking and you think they're going to kind of go the route you want, but then they do something completely different. It's like, what's going on here? So basically it's like a roll of the dice, if you know what I mean. But like I said, with certain images, when it comes to these sites, they will kind of understand what you're saying. They will. Like with the Emily Saunders story. There's a chapter in series 2 called Delirium, if you will, where she's kind of sick with the flu, and she's just getting delirious, and she just starts imagining herself, in this psychedelic-like universe. And there's one image where she's basically, it's just her head, and surrounded by all, the gooey version of of her body, just a gooey, like a gooey pool of her body. And I suggested, in Luma, have it absorb her, and then as she's absorbed, have her lips appear on the thing, and she'll speak, basically saying that she is now one, and everything. And in one of the creation videos I have here on my YouTube, it does exactly that. You look it up. I think it's one of the first ones. It does exactly that. It gave me what I want. Kling, it will kind of do that, but not really. They'll kind of go in a different direction. But I think if you go professional, it will give you what you're asking for. Probably more so than standard. Not a total, give you what you want, but just a slight edge of over standard of giving you what you want. So Kling will kind of do that, but you got to go, up to that higher, the higher realm, if you know what I mean. Runaway could do it too. There's no doubt. They all have so when it comes to images, it all depends on how they're described and how basically the AI service, will implement it, or how the AI service will implement it, in what it's being described to, or how it'll try to make what you're asking for, from the image into a reality, if you know what I mean. The other big difference, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that with certain, the other big difference with certain, I guess you could say, images and certain AI sites is basically the kind of images you can use. Because sometimes the images you can use will be fine and some of them won't be. And that's a fact. In fact, one image, and hold on for a sec while I do something here. Like I was saying, one image, for example, is done by an artist called called Digital Digimon on certain sites like DeviantArt, Inkbunny, and for Affinity, FA, if you will, for Affinity, DeviantArt, and, like I said, Inkbunny. And Digital Digimon did an image, very kind of NFSW image, if you will. But he did an image of a character trapped, in between the cleavage, if you will, of an Amy, a more sultry Amy Rhodes, from Sonic the Hedgehog. And she's wearing this full body leather outfit, if you will. And basically the title of the image originally is called It's Going to Be a Little Tight. Because again, he's, in between the cleavage, and she's got her hand on one on the zipper, and she's about to zip it up, basically enclose him inside of the outfit while he's stuck between her cleavage. And basically, with Runaway, we do it Gen 3, Gen 2, Gen 3 Turbo, Gen 3 Alpha, or Gen 2, it's perfectly fine. It's just that they don't totally give you what you're asking for. They go in a different direction sometimes. Or at least they try to, but again, you got to have the credits to spend them, and to see the result in the end. But basically, they don't always give you what you want. I mean, I tried today, and it almost looked like I was going to get it, but then all of a sudden it turned into the image, looked like it was going to give me what I wanted, but then all of a sudden the extension turned into somebody, you didn't see the head, but somebody wearing a jacket or a hoodie, kind of a sweat jacket zipped up. I'm thinking that's not what I asked for, but yeah, that's kind of basically, I guess you could say the differences with these AIs and images. Again, they will give you what you're asking for, sometimes depending on how you describe it, but then sometimes they go off in a total different direction. But the reason I bring this image up is because if I put it on Kling, it will be basically saying try another image, because it's a way of saying inappropriate, not going to work. And if I put it on Luma, they could say the same thing, but they might also they might also say, yeah, you can do that, go ahead. What you need to do with those kind of images like that is essentially kind of, I guess you could say, you got to basically use websites like cleanuppictures.com or cleanup.pictures.com and basically clean up, erase certain things that might, be looked at as too risky. Because sometimes if you're going to use an image, like let's say with Kling, and it has, like, say the butt crack of somebody, like a girl or a guy or whatever, it's going to say, nope, not going to work. But if you get rid of that, you might be able to get that past the censors. But the point is that I'm getting at is the big difference is sometimes these AI sites will be cool with certain images, even while others won't be. So yeah, it's a big difference, in general, and I think that's why some people will prefer one AI service over the other when it comes to this, when it comes to these sites. But I think at the end of the day, as I said, I think people will slightly, choose Kling over Luma. I mean, they are like neck and neck. And like I said, all Luma has to do eventually is just hit that rocket, hit that accelerator one day and just take off, with whatever upgrades and features it will give people. But yeah, in general, it's just more of a, like a choice of like, okay, what's going to give me the best option and won't, totally, be against what I want to see happen, if you know what I mean. And again, of course, as I've mentioned before, the other difference too is Luma only does it monthly, when it comes to the generates and everything. They don't do the credits, which I hope they do pick up on and start doing, because that's going to help them out in the long run, unlike Kling and Runaway. But in general, Luma does, even for the offers, does do a decent job, which is why it's slightly behind Kling, just by 0.000.3 behind this, if you know what I mean. I do apologize for that notification there. But guys, that's all I'm going to really say on it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Which one of these three would you choose and you prefer? Would you prefer Luma? Would you prefer Kling? Or would you prefer Runaway? Or is there one you know of that we don't know of? Let me know down below in the comments. Like the video. Ring the bell for notifications. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the Teespring store. Link is in the description at the bottom. Also, the links to where you can find my content elsewhere here on the internet. And until next time, guys, again, let me know what your thoughts are. Which one would you choose? And until next time, I am out. Take care. God bless. But let me know which would be your more preferable one.